Hello and welcome to KJ's Kitchen. I'm KJ. I am 14 years a master fitness trainer, a fitness nutrition specialist, and more importantly, I'm a happy mom serving up healthy meals from my kitchen to yours every Wednesday on Facebook at 12 o'clock Eastern. So as you can see, I'm not in my kitchen in Asheville. Instead, I'm in my mom's kitchen in Michigan. So this is where it all began. And it's where it all begins when we start teaching our children how to eat proper, how to eat to nourish our bodies, not just because the sugar feels and tastes good, right? So speaking of sugar, we are going to be making a very kid-friendly snack. Now my son, who's 14 months, doesn't say banana, but he surely can say nana whenever he sees it. Nana, nana, nana. And I know it's really easy to make banana bread, banana muffins. Well, today I'm gonna make it with a twist. We are going to make choco-nana, chocolate banana muffins. To me, they taste like cupcakes. So again, this could be another alternative of using regular cake, definitely an alternative of box cake when you're doing any cupcakes or cake for kids' birthdays. Throwing on some delicious chocolate cream cheese frosting can make it delectable. Today we're not gonna do any frosting, I'm just gonna show you the muffin version. You can turn those into cupcakes on your own. And what's great is we're adding in a lot of nutrients. That's what the key is. How much nutrients can we get in these kids and our bodies with limited sugar, right? Because that is the devil, and tastes good and does good for us. So let's start. I'm gonna start with the dry ingredients first. I got my mom's awesome vintage Tupperware. Anyone recognize these, right? And we're gonna start, now these are grain-free, so that's fantastic. Grain starts cutting through our gut. Whether you personally believe you have an intolerance to gluten or not, it will slowly start to wear out your colon. So the more and more you eat of it, the sooner and sooner you will get something like irritable bowel syndrome or any of the likes, a lot of the itises that are irritating the colon. So limit your grain. Today we're going grain-free by using almond meal. No, oh no, almond flour, beg my pardon. This is not the same as almond meal. You wanna get ground up almond flour. This one is Red Mill, Bob's Red Mill. And we're gonna start with a cup. Right, and now I keep these in the fridge or the freezer. Mom uses the freezer for hers. I keep mine in the fridge. That was 1 cup and 3/4 cup. So I already put my 1 cup in. You see it's much finer than almond. You see it's more like a powder than almond meal. Almond meal is just like ground up almonds, right? So this is gonna act more like flour and less grainy, less gritty than almond meal. And that was 1 3/4 cup almond meal. We're going to add in chia seed. Now the chia seed is fantastic. It does help bind. It gives it a nice crunchy texture when we sprinkle them on top. And I'm gonna go for 2 tablespoons of chia seed. Now, I'm gonna do 2 inside the mix. Now, if you're not frosting this and you're using them as muffins, you're gonna reserve 2 more tablespoons to sprinkle on top when you put it in the oven to bake. That's kind of fun too, right? And we're gonna go for some cocoa powder. You could use special dark cocoa. My mom actually did this recipe with special dark. They were ultra rich. Today we're just using regular unsweetened cocoa powder. We're gonna go for a 1/4 cup. Here we go. Now when you mix the banana with the chocolate, to me why I love this, it's a lot less banana-ish and a whole lot more chocolate fun for the kids. And cocoa's so healthy, so many reasons. If you can get your hands on some raw cacao, all the better. But here we are with some traditional things you find in the baking aisle, right? We're gonna use some baking soda. You're gonna go for 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I recommend sea salt, and if you can, you're gonna get the sea salt that's very fine, not very coarse. And you're gonna go for a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. Whew. Salt and cocoa, right? just gonna take a little whisk and get this all whisked together. Now the almond meal, depending on how long you've had it, if you're keeping it in the freezer like my mom, it might get a little lumpy and clumpy. That's why this whisk comes in handy to break up all those clumps. We are doing the dry ingredients separate, and then we'll be adding in the wet ingredients. So really work out those clumps. I got a lot in here, so just bear with me as I clump it, declump. You might even run this with your hand mixer if your whisking isn't working. Mine's starting to work pretty well though, so just get your muscles in on that, right? Grind that out. Whisk away any of those clumps from the almond meal. No, you don't tell your children that there's really no sugar in here, they'll never know. It's gonna be sweetened with banana and then your choice of maple syrup or honey. So you're gonna use whichever mindful sugar you choose, and it's not even too much. Like typical cakes and cupcakes call for a lot of white sugar. So this is just gonna be a little bit of honey because the bananas do the work. But when you mix in the cocoa, there we go, almost there, guys. We're gonna have a sweat. How about you? Speaking of heat, you do heat that oven to 350. I've got mine already preheating. Maybe that's why it's hot in here. Or maybe I'm just whisking away so much. Getting a nice little bicep burn on there. Yeah, there we go. This looks pretty clump-free now. And what's the worst case if you have an almond clump inside your cupcake or your muffin? It's almonds. They're sweet already, so it's not the end of the world. Once we get the liquid in there, I'm sure if there's any leftover clumps, they will just unclump later for me. Here's an awesome reason why these are delicious is I'm adding a half cup of chocolate chips. They're 60% raw cacao, not raw, 60% dark, right? So we've got some Ghirardelli bittersweet. That's what mom had in the cupboard, and I am not opposed. They are big fat chocolate chips. So that just means every time you're biting in, you get a big chunk of chocolate. Your kids don't care that you use banana, I promise. Setting this dry aside, and we're gonna go into some wet. No, literally, you can take your bananas and smash them with a fork and stir them into this. That's gonna be your choice or preference. When I'm making banana breads or muffins, I prefer to get my bananas all blended up with the liquid, so you're not biting it and you're like, oh, that's a chunk of banana. Maybe that's a little too health spectrum for my tinies. My daughter who's 4, she'd be like, are these banana? Otherwise, you know, I can say, no, it's a chocolate cupcake. I take my bananas. You're gonna do 3 brown bananas. The browner the better. This one in particular is the perfect edible. I think these spots are perfect for eating the banana. It gives you a digestive enzyme inside, so there's no plugging you up. Perfect for baking are brown bananas. So I only have 2, so I'm doing 2 brown bananas and 1 deliciously prepared, ready, ripe banana. But I promise it's all gonna sweeten it no matter what. Okay, that was 1, 2, and here's 3. You see that I'm breaking the banana because I'm doing it in a little blender, like a little handheld blender. You know, fingers crossed it's gonna work all right because I chose this one instead of getting out the big food processor. Only because I know that I am also using enough liquid ingredients. It's gonna help pull that banana into the blender here. Let's talk about our liquid ingredients. We've got a 1/4 cup of virgin, organic, unrefined coconut oil. So you really want to go for unrefined when you're doing coconut oil. Got my little spatula, I get all the oil I can out of there. Okay, got the oil going. Next liquid in order, 1/4 cup. Got a placeholder right here. It's great for cup holding, right? You're gonna do 1/4 cup of yogurt. I would recommend you going organic. If you can find grass-fed, all the better. And you're going with plain, non-flavored. If you got Greek yogurt in your cupboard already, go for Greek. If you don't, you can do Greek or regular, whichever one you know your family's gonna enjoy after, to mix up with their granola or yogurt, however you feed your kids their yogurt, or in smoothies. Okay, we've got our yogurt. Got my cup holder. Whoop. My spatula holder there. 2 eggs. We got farm fresh eggs out here in Michigan. So whoever's giving my mom her eggs, thank you. I wish I had your name for you. But we're gonna crack open those eggs. There we go. Beautiful orange, delicious, fresh farm, free range eggs. Got some vanilla going on in here. You're gonna do 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. You know, when I was growing up, my mom didn't know better, and she'd buy the imitation because it was cheaper, and she used to bake all the time. But she's wised up because information is key. You want to use real vanilla in case any of you still reach for that imitation stuff. And then honey. I got Great Lakes honey here because I'm in Michigan, so we're keeping it local. You're doing a 1/3 cup of honey. You could choose to use maple syrup. Here we go. Yep, honey it up. Perfect, 1/3 cup. I just use this little guy. You could use a liquid measurement, and I got my little spatula to scrape alongside. Get all of that out. Delicious. Okay, that's all my liquid ingredients. I'm gonna run this through the blender. The reason I think this is gonna work so well, and of course fingers are crossed, right? I haven't tried this out in a small blender. I use food processor all the time. Is all that liquid is gonna help us bring this banana into the little grinder here. So here we go. I'll give it a little shake, shake, shake. Get her loaded into your blender, and pardon the noise. See this working? Yeah. There we go. So give it a little shake, shake, shake again. We got those eggs in there. Make sure all the banana, you see how easy that's blending? It's all liquid now. I'm gonna go for one more round. Boom! Voila. Now all we're doing now is stirring in the liquid into the dry and letting that mix in together. Yeah, I'm just using my whisk. Here we go. You could use a hand mixer. I recommend a whisk just because we put those chocolate chips already in there. If you're gonna use a hand mixer, use the chocolate chips in the very end and fold them in. That will be up to you and what you prefer to do for your cupcakes, muffins, whatever you wanna call these bad daddies. Okay. Now this recipe came from a woman, if I can say her name correctly, Pamela Salzman, or I'm gonna not slaughter it when I give her the credit in these comment fields. She was inspired at Le Pain Quotidien. Quotidien? Anyone who speaks French, tell me what that is. I used to go there a lot when I lived in New York City. I just called it Le Pain. You want to meet Le Pain? Looks like Le Pain Quotidien. But it's delectable. If you are anywhere in New York, I recommend it. I'm sure it's in other cities as well. But it is delicious. There we go. There's no more clumps. There's no almond meal clumps, almond flour clumps at all. Yeah. It's nice and liquidy, ready to be poured into a prepared muffin pan. Now, again, if you've watched KJ segments, I like these little silicone holders. It eliminates using so much paper and waste for individual paper cups. But of course, if you're going somewhere and you know you don't want to be bringing home silicone, you might go for those paper cups. And I'm just going to use my little spatula here to cut it off, pouring them in. Now, once I get them filled, I'd say they will rise. Once you get them filled, 3/4. We're gonna top these with chia seed on top. Now, if you got little picky eaters and they're not gonna wanna see seeds on their muffins, don't put the seeds on top. That's quite all right. Why not throw a couple chocolate chips on top? Who knows? These look beautiful. Here I am filling up my pan. All right. Now this, depending on the size of your cups, because all muffin pans are slightly different, you're gonna end up with about 12, I'd say 12 to 16, max 18 cupcakes. So if you're looking to spread this out to a large party, you might make the smaller muffins. Just gonna cut, 10 minutes off cook time. There we go. So yeah, I've got heavy chocolate chips at the bottom. So if your chocolate chips are heavy like mine, meaning they were big old daddies like this, I'm gonna spoon in a couple of chocolate chips on top of each of these muffins so everyone who takes a bite gets some. Not just the person who had the last muffin when it's a load of chocolate chips. That just makes it fair. I know I'm gonna wanna take some of these chocolate chips in when I eat one. Because they're heavy. They'll sink once we get bacon. And if not, they're really pretty on top regardless. So there we go. A couple chocolate chips on each of these bad boys. I'm gonna go ahead and top mine with chia, just to show you. Just grab your spoon. Now these are really pretty blend of chia. This is really pretty here. It's not just black and white. Sprinkled on each one. I know you can't see me down here, but I'm just shaking my little shaker here. And they'll sink in a little. They're not gonna stay on top looking all alerting to your children. I'll show you what it looks like. Here we go. We're going into the oven. You see the little sprinkles? We're going into the oven, and you're gonna keep an eye on these. You will do the toothpick test, and I'm popping these puppies in here, 20 to 30, depending on what you're cooking at. So I would say a nice, set it at 20, take a look. You might go to 25, depending on your oven. You might even go longer. Do the toothpick test. I'm not gonna waste your time when they're in the oven. Instead, I'm gonna post the picture when I'm finished, along with a link. Now this link can give you access to all of the KJ's Kitchen's recipes ongoing here forward, as well as any of the recipes from the past. You will be getting them filtrated through your inbox. If you've already subscribed to the KJ Kitchen's link, you do not need to do anything. You're getting this recipe by end of day. Now, if you have not subscribed, that's when you're gonna click that link, give us your email, and you'll be getting today's recipe and all future and past recipes from KJ's Kitchen. If you know if this recipe would serve anyone in your life, please share it. Share it to their wall, tag their name in the comments below. Share this on your Facebook wall. Let them know how excited you are for some Choco-Chia muffins. Choco-Chia muffins. How about that? Can you say that mouthful? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next Wednesday at noon in KJ's Kitchen. I'm KJ. Happy moms serving up healthy meals from my kitchen to yours. Now you have a fabulous Wellness Wednesday. You take care. I'm going to do the little lean in and see if I can't say goodbye proper. Goodbye.